Hey guys, this is Metallagamer here. Today I am bringing you my weekly Game of Thrones segment, bringing you the final episode, the finale of Game of Thrones. Once again, as always, there are spoilers in this segment. I will be talking about the episode. So as always, if you are not fond of spoilers or you do not desire to know anything about the season finale of Game of Thrones Season 4, then you need to leave this page. Go check out one of my other conversations about Game of Thrones episodes or one of my many reviews I have on my page. Alright guys, so I'm going to jump into it. There is a lot that happened in this episode and a lot of stuff I was not expecting. I had some people telling me from the books a few things were going to happen, so I had a few expectations, but some things caught me way the fuck off guard. We start the episode off by Jon Snow trying to negotiate with the wildlings, and Stannis breaks in there. Stannis comes in, murders wildlings to hell, and talks with Jon Snow with his gigantic army. Stannis' giant army, not Jon Snow's. So, we've got that situation. Jon Snow told Stannis how he is the son of Ned Stark, and then it kind of cuts out that scene. Like, that was pretty much done. The whole Night's Watch scene was done. Well, they also have a burial of Ygritte, which was sad to watch. I mean, me personally, I didn't care too much for Ygritte as a character, and I had a feeling she would die within the season. But, I mean, you know, for some people really cared for Ygritte, and, you know, I'm glad that they gave her a proper burial. Glad Jon Snow gave her a proper burial, instead of her just dying as one of the wildlings do. The next scene, Cersei shows once again what a ruthless bitch she can be, and confirms 100% with Tywin that she is sleeping with her brother. The sons that were supposed to be his heirs really weren't. They were a product of incest, which is gross, but, you know, we all knew this was going along, but she finally told Tywin. So that was heartbreaking for him. And then we're going to move on to Daenerys Targaryen. Khaleesi has had some problems here with her pinning all the slaves to cross posts and crucifying them, essentially. First, she had a slave, who's an older slave, asking to be a slave again, because now being a quote-unquote free slave, he has not been having a good time. He has been getting taken advantage of by the younger people, and as a slave, he actually wasn't treated terribly. He had a good life. Daenerys granted him basically the right to go back and be a slave. And then the next person who came up was in tears. This man had his daughter killed by one of her dragons. I believe it was the same dragon who attacked the goat farm as well in one of the earlier episodes. So this has become a problem. Now Khaleesi is forced to basically enslave her dragons to keep people safe, because these dragons are, you know, they're screwing up people's lives. They're lighting livestock on fire and killing people's children. So that's not okay. So, you know, she had a heartbreaking moment with that, but she pretty much had to lock up her dragons, except the one which is still unfound. That is the one that killed the daughter. So there's that. So this was my big scene that was completely unexpected and I did not think was going to happen. Was a fight between Brienne and the Hound. Now this was intense and a very good fight scene as it was. This is how the scene happened. Brienne comes up a hill and sees Arya doing her water dancing. So she finds out that Arya is Arya, finds out her name and whatnot, and goes, okay, you know what, I know who you are, and then finds out who the Hound is, and then insists that Arya come with Brienne. So the Hound is not having that crap, and he flips out, and they get into a fight, of course. After many blows back and forth and a really dirty fight that was pretty awesome for the season, Brienne goes Mike Tyson on his ass, bites off his ear, and then pushes him down a hill. And then the Hound ends up at the bottom of a hill where he is slowly dying. Arya, after the fight, goes down to where the Hound is and sees him dying, and of course has a little bit of a conversation with him. And for the first time, you see the Hound break. He begs Arya for mercy. He begs Arya to kill him. He even tries, you know, saying, you know, I killed the butcher's boy. You know, I had his blood on my horse for weeks, and, you know, tries to do things to get under her skin. and can't, and she just sits there and watches him dying, and he almost cries. You can see it in his face. He's hurt. You see the Hound weak. So what Arya does is grabs his bag of gold and then leaves him there to quote unquote die. We don't see the Hound die on screen, so I am in no place to assume that he actually is gone. Okay, and then there's a skeleton horde attack that attacks Bran, Hodor, and friends. Don't remember the rest of the names, so I'm going to say Bran, Hodor, and friends. And they eventually get into a cave after having some losses. They head into a cave where they find the children, which I'm assuming is what the episode name refers to. Bran talks to an older gentleman, and he refers to the older man as the Three-Eyed Crow. And he pretty much confirms that he is the Three-Eyed Crow. So, the Three-Eyed Crow, quote-unquote, the Three-Eyed Crow, says that he is going to make Bran fly. And then that's pretty much it. That's the end of the Bran section for the season. Okay, and then we are left with the final 5 minutes, which was pretty much where the most of the season's, I guess, expectations of what we thought was going to happen and what we needed to happen did happen. Tyrion pretty much is going to kill his father. He goes into his room and sees a whore on his bed. He gets pretty close to her, and you hear her whisper, Tywin. Not Tyrion, Tywin. She lifts her face up, and what do you know? It's Shae. So this was a very emotional scene for Tyrion, because he pretty much has to kill her to survive. And that's a terrible thing. It was a very emotional scene, and it hurt me as well as I'm sure a lot of the audience. And then next basically walks into Tywin when he's sitting on the shitter and fires 2 crossbows into him as Tywin's trying to negotiate, basically going to the other room and like letting him have his dignity. And Tyrion shoots off 2 bolts into Tywin and ends the scene with him being shipped off to wherever he is. He basically gets put into a box and then is shipped off on a boat. The final scene is Arya on a pirate ship headed to the north. Or she might be heading to Braavos. I'm not sure. The ship that she went on was initially headed to Braavos, and he refused. The man she was talking to refused to let her get on, but then eventually let her get on. She's on her way on her own without the Hound or without anybody else. She's on her own. So, this was an amazingly exciting episode of Game of Thrones. I was baffled at some of the events that did happen, and not as baffled by others, but that's because I kind of had some spoilers by people who've read the book. I did enjoy this episode, even though it hurt to hell. We lost a handful of characters here, the biggest ones being Shae, Tywin, possibly the Hound, and Tyrion being shipped off. So there was a handful of losses here, and there was a lot of pain, not only because the characters died, but because this is the last episode of the season, and we will not be seeing more Game of Thrones for at least the next 10 months. What do you guys think of this season of Game of Thrones? As book readers, has it disappointed you? And as show watchers, without reading the books, what are your expectations? How is this season done compared to the others? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you guys enjoyed the segment, please hit the subscribe button. It helps for a new YouTuber to earn some subscribers here and there. So any of you guys who are enjoying the Game of Thrones segment, I plan on putting up some scenes from Game of Thrones and some kind of various things that I feel people should watch that have already watched the season. So as always, guys, stay fucking metal. I hope you guys enjoyed the season, and I hope you guys enjoyed my segments, and I'll see you next season. Stay fucking metal, guys.